Hello, everyone. This is the first lecture for the course of Social Psychological Perspectives on Health. This is Nobuhiko Goto. I'll be the lecturer for this course. So first, let me briefly explain what this course is about. So as I said, I am Nobuhiko Goto. I'll be your lecturer. And then in this course, I will use The New Psychology of Health, Unlocking the Social Cure by Catherine Hazelman and others as a textbook. So my lectures are almost exclusively based on this textbook. And then you can download the textbook from the university library. And then all the students taking this course are expected to read prior to or after listening to the lecture. And then every lecture, you need to take short quizzes. So by taking short quizzes, you are considered as taking this course. Okay. So in today's lecture, I will talk about chapter 1, and then so that you can get an idea of what this course is about, and then what you will learn from this course. So first, let's think about factors associated with health and mortality. So when you want to be healthy, like what kind of behaviors you may want to take? Maybe healthy diet, or maybe stop smoking, or you sleep well, you get some exercises, right? And in this study done by Haslam and others, they looked at the several factors that may influence or may be associated with health and mortality, such as social support, social integration, smoking, alcohol consumption, exercise, and obesity. And let's think how these factors can be ranked in the order of how much each factor is important for health and mortality. What would be the most important factor for being healthy? Okay, is that social support, or is that smoking, or is it getting exercise, or not being obese? Okay, so let's see what Haslam and others found. So here is the perceived and true rankings of the importance of factors for mortality. So on the so here you can see there are factors that may be associated with health and mortality. And on the y-axis, you can see that there is a ranking. So first, please look at the green boxes. So true ranks. As you can see, and maybe contrary to your expectation, social support is ranked as 1. So it takes the first rank. And the social integration is on the second rank. And then maybe you thought that not smoking should be the first rank, but it's actually ranked on the third. So you can say that it's important for health, but not as much as social support and social integration. And then even if you smoke, maybe if you quit smoking, then you can reduce the possibility of mortality, or you can reduce the impact for mortality. And then also low alcohol. And then if you get flu vaccination, it's definitely related to better or less possibility of getting dead. And then also exercise, and then being physically active, not obese, and then you get good medication, and then unpopulated air. So this is a true ranking of how each factor is associated with health and mortality. But as you might have expected, this is very much different from how people perceive the importance of these factors for mortality. So people actually perceive social support as the least important for the health and mortality. And then social integration was on the 9th rank. And then people thought that not smoking is most important. It is important for health, but it's not as much as important for social support and social integration. As you can see, there's a very much difference from between the two rankings of how each factor is important for health and then how people perceive the importance of each factor for health. And I think the most important message here is that people usually underestimate the importance of social factors, social influence on health. Okay. So why? Why people underestimate the impact of social factors on health? So first of all, one reason for this misperception or overestimating the impact of biological influence is that there is a huge investment on medical research and technology. So people know that a lot of money is used for medical research. And that should be because medical research or factors related to biological or more like individual behaviors are important for health. And also people usually have ideological beliefs that health is firmly related to biological or genetic causes. So yeah, if you drink a lot of alcohol or you smoke, then it would impact their biological, like for example, cell tissues, you know. So that should impact people's health. And this kind of belief is especially strong among people who follow established authority and convention. So people who have or who respect the established authority, or people who have very conventional way of perceiving the society. Those people usually have very strong ideological beliefs that health is primarily related to biological or genetic causes. And then they usually underestimate the impacts of social factors. And then a bit from different perspective, it is usually hard to understand and or examine impacts of social factors. You know, like maybe you could compare people who smoke and don't smoke, and that is very easy. And then maybe you can look at their lungs, and then you can determine how much smoking affects their lungs. But if you want to know the impacts of social support, it's going to be very difficult. So people really cannot understand how they actually impact our health. And but just because it's difficult to understand, it doesn't mean that we can give up studying about them. And this course will be about how this kind of social factors, these kinds of social factors affect our health. So the title of the book is, as you have seen, the new psychology of health, you know. So how new this psychology of health is. The focus of dominant psychological models has been the psychology of I and me. In other words, so the dominant psychology, or more like a classical or prevalent psychological studies, usually talks about individual processes, usually study about individual processes, how an individual think about issues. feels about situations and how an individual behaves. But in this course and in this textbook, it focuses on the psychology of we and us, how belonging to groups affect how we think and we feel and we behave. So this new psychology of health will look at the psychology of group members. By belonging to groups or by being a group member, how you think, how you feel, and how you behave would be different from as an individual. So in order to understand the psychology of we and us, I will talk a lot about social identity theory. So what is social identity? And then I will talk more about what is social identity in maybe next lecture. But the social identity analysis provides an overarching framework that integrates and builds upon biological, psychological, and social approaches. So in the previous studies, they usually look at factors important for health from only biological perspectives or from only psychological perspectives, or maybe only from social perspectives. But the authors of the textbook argue that, and then I will explain that social identity analysis provides frameworks that integrates these three approaches. And then also by integrating biological, psychological, and social approaches, this social identity analysis provides new understanding of how social and psychological factors are related to various physical and mental health conditions. So before understanding what social identity analysis is, I would like to explain what the current approach is. So first, biomedical approach. This attributes causes of ill health to biological and physiological malfunctioning. So maybe if you think about COVID-19, it considers how virus gets into people's body and then maybe body cells, and then how it impairs people's body and health conditions. So this is very, very basic or very prevalent way of understanding why people get ill, you know? And this biomedical approach focuses on repairing and treating the social breakdown in the body. So when people have problem with their lungs, doctors look at their lungs and then they think how they could repair or treat the problem happening in the lung. But the problem with this biomedical approach is that individuals experience illness differently. And this is especially true when it concerns about chronic health conditions such as diabetes or cardiovascular disease. And so this is because people experience illness differently because people have different cognitive, emotional, and behavioral so people basically see that their illness differently. So people have a different cognitive understanding of their illness. And then people feel differently about their illness. So people have different emotional reactions to their illness. And just because they think differently or feel differently about their illness, they will behave differently toward their illness. And these cognitive and emotional and behavioral dimensions are structured by such as culture, socioeconomic status, family, and religion. And then so, people who have relatives who have gone through diabetes, and then if they know some relatives that they are well treated by biomedical approach, then they will think that they can also treat their diabetes, and then they would not be as depressed as others who have relatives who are not well treated by biomedical approaches. Or maybe those in the high socioeconomic status, people in the high socioeconomic status, they would have more strong trust in biomedical approach or medical research. But those who are in those in the low socioeconomic status, they may have less trust in biomedical approach and then or medical research. So they may be less likely to rely on those medical services. So this determines how they think and feel about their illness, such as diabetes, and the way they think and feel about their illness change how they behave or how they want to treat their illness. So instead of simple biological approach, some researchers argue that biopsychosocial model is needed. And then they argue that this biopsychosocial model integrates cognitive, emotional, and behavioral dimensions into the biomedical approach. However, this biopsychosocial model is still strongly based on biomedical approach, and then they only consider some or maybe a little influences of psycho and social factors. So it has several limitations. Basically, this biopsychosocial model fails to consider the capacity of the three to restructure the others. So they think that the biological causes are most important. Although they think that cognitive, emotional, and behavioral dimensions affect people's health, they still think that it's most important to treat or repair the biological causes. But the authors of this textbook argue that biology can be structured by psychology. So as I said, how people think, feel will change how their body functions. And also how they think and feel would be influenced by which groups they belong. So as I said, those in the high socioeconomic status group will think differently from those in the low socioeconomic status. So just because they belong to low or high socioeconomic status groups, they will think differently. So the groups they belong is a social factor, and then how they think is a psychological factor. And then these social factors influence or structure the psychological factors, and how they think, behave, and how they think, feel, and then behave would influence how their bodies function. Okay, so although biomedical approach was sort of extended to biopsychosocial model, it still has a lot of limitations in a way that it doesn't put much importance or emphasis on the influences of psychological and social factors. Okay. Okay, so I think I will stop here, and then in the next video, I will talk about other approaches, psychological and social approaches to health.